It's the kind of crime that should have only existed in horror novels. 4 young students, their lives tragically brought to an end in their own home. A quiet college town shattered. For months, the questions echoed across the nation. Who could be capable of such a thing? And now, almost 2 years later, the man accused has finally spoken, but his words have left more questions than answers. Hey everyone, welcome back to Far From Fiction, part of the Friday Night Campfire Stories YouTube channel. My name is Rob and I will be your host for this evening. Every Wednesday we dive into a true crime case that seems almost too disturbing to be real, but as we know, sometimes the scariest stories aren't the ones that are made up. If you love true crime, mysteries, and dark corners of human nature, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you never miss an episode. And I have something special for all of my horror lovers out there. My brand new book, The Hollow Season, drops August 1st. It's packed with eerie stories, twisted tales, perfect for late night readings. It's also available for pre-order now on Amazon and Barnes & Noble, and the link is in the description. Stick around to the end of the video to find out how you can enter to win a free signed copy of my book, The Hollow Season. But tonight we revisit one of the most chilling true crime cases in recent history, the brutal Idaho student murders, and a recent development in a shocking guilty plea that has left families divided and the nation asking, did justice truly prevail? This is my series, Far From Fiction. Before we dive into the events of that tragic November night, it's important to remember the names, the faces, and the lives forever lost. Kaylee, 21 years old, a senior at the University of Idaho, majoring in general studies. Kaylee was described by her friends as driven, loyal, and full of life. She had just bought her first car, a sign of a new adventure ahead, and was planning to move to Austin, Texas after graduation. Madison, 21, better known as Maddie, a marketing major and Kaylee's best friend since childhood. The two were inseparable, roommates, confidants, and, in the words of their families, more like sisters than friends. Xana, 20 years old, a junior studying marketing. Xana had a vibrant energy and loved socializing. She was known for lighting up every room she walked into. She was dating Ethan Chapman. The two were often seen together, laughing and living life to the fullest. Ethan, 20, a freshman and a proud member of the Sigma Chi fraternity. Ethan was a triplet, one of 3 siblings attending University of Idaho. His family remembers him as goofy, athletic, and deeply loved. 4 young lives, full of promise, brutally cut short in the early mornings of November 13th, 2022. And then there's Bryan Kohberger, the accused, 28 years old at the time of the murders. A criminology PhD student at the Washington State University located just across the border from Moscow, Idaho. By all appearances, he was a quiet, intelligent man with a fascination for criminal mind. But that fascination may have crossed a terrifying line. Living just 10 miles from the victims, Kohberger's academics focus on criminology, combined with his social awkwardness and an unsettling online presence, would become a focal point of the investigation. So how did a quiet criminology student become the prime suspect in one of the most horrifying murders in Idaho history? And how did the investigators unravel the clues that led to his arrest? It started with a typical Saturday night in a quiet college town, but before the sun would rise, 4 students would be gone, and the community would be changed forever. That evening, Kaylee and Maddie spent time downtown at the Corner Club, a bar frequented by students and locals alike. They laughed, took photos, and were seen on surveillance camera leaving the bar shortly after 1:30 a.m. Just down the street, they stopped by a well-known food truck, a common late-night ritual for many students. Unbeknownst to them, they were being watched. Security footage captured not just the girls, but a figure police would later suspect to be their killer, lurking in the shadows. Meanwhile, Xana and Ethan had been at a Sigma Chi fraternity party, celebrating, surrounded by friends. They returned to Xana's house on King Road sometime around 1:45 a.m. The 3-story house on King Road, nestled on the edge of the woods, became the site of one of Idaho's most chilling crimes. At precisely 4 a.m., Kohberger's white Hyundai Elantra is captured on surveillance leaving his apartment, heading towards Moscow. Within minutes, his cell phone signal vanishes, as if intentionally powered off. Inside the house, the details are unspeakable. Investigators believe the attacker entered quietly, moving room to room, brutally stabbing the victims as they slept. At 4:17 a.m., the surviving roommate, Dylan Mortensen, reports hearing noises, crying, and spotted a masked intruder exiting their home. Frozen in fear, Dylan would hide, unaware of the horror that had just unfolded upstairs. At 4:25 a.m., Kohberger's vehicle is seen fleeing the scene. His phone signal reactivates near Blaine, Idaho. A cold, calculated escape, leaving behind only tragedy and a handful of crucial clues. At 11:58 a.m., a 911 call is placed from the surviving roommate's phone, reporting an unconscious person. It wasn't until nearly noon that the grim discovery was made: 4 lives lost and a town plunged into shock and grief. The investigation that followed would stretch across states, unraveling a complex web of evidence and ultimately pointing to one suspect. So how did authorities connect the dots and zero in on Bryan? The answers lie in a trail of digital footprints, forensic breakthroughs, and an eerie glimpse into the minds of the accused. In the hours after the murders, shocks rippled through the University of Idaho community, but behind the scenes, investigators were already piecing together the puzzle, determined to track down whoever was responsible for the unimaginable violence on King Road. Inside the house, a crucial clue was hidden in plain sight: a leather knife sheath found near the body of Maddie and Kaylee, stamped with a military-style insignia, and on the snap, a trace of DNA. Outside surveillance footage revealed another vital detail: a white Hyundai Elantra seen speeding away from their neighborhood around 4:25 a.m. A vehicle that, at the time, meant little, but would soon become a key part in the case. As investigators canvassed the area and sorted through vehicle records, one name emerged: Bryan Kohberger. He lived just 10 miles away from the crime scene and was the owner of the white Hyundai Elantra. Kohberger's online presence raised further questions. Posts on Reddit, where he appeared to study criminal behavior. His classwork focused on the minds of the murdered. His fascination with how crimes are solved. But it wasn't just academics. Kohberger's cell phone record left behind a digital trail. Data revealed that he had been near King Road not once, but at least 12 times before the murders, often late at night, as if studying the house, its routines, its vulnerabilities. But the turning point in the case came from the form of DNA. The trace found on the knife sheath was compared to the trash that was recovered outside of Kohberger's parents' home in Pennsylvania, a familiar match, sealing the investigators' suspicions. On December 30th, 2022, nearly 7 weeks after the murders, Bryan Kohberger was arrested at his family home in Pennsylvania, extradited back to Idaho, where he would face 4 counts of first-degree murder and the beginning of a legal battle that would divide the nation. But even with an arrest, questions linger. One of the big questions that was surrounding this case was Dylan, the surviving roommate. A lot of people questioned how she was in the home and heard the noises but decided not to do anything, and also why she waited until almost noon the next day to make any call to 911. But to this day, nobody has stated that she has anything to do with this case. But the other questions still raised red flags. Was the evidence enough? Would the families ever see justice? And as the court case began to unfold, no one could predict the shocking plea deal that would come nearly 2 years later. For nearly 2 years, the nation waited. Bryan Kohberger, the accused, sat behind bars as investigators and legal teams prepared what was promised to be one of the most high-profile trials in Idaho history. But as the trial date approached, everything changed. On July 2nd, 2025, just last week, in a hushed Idaho courtroom, Bryan Kohberger stood before the judge and did the unthinkable. He pled guilty to all 4 counts of first-degree murder. The deal? In exchange for his guilty plea, Kohberger would avoid the death penalty, and instead he would serve 4 consecutive life sentences without the possibility of parole. For some, the plea brought relief. An end to the uncertainty. No drawn-out trial, no risk of appeals, and the chance to hear directly from the families during sentencing. But not everyone agreed. The families of the victims divided their reactions. While some quietly accepted the plea, others were left blindsided and outraged. Kaylee's family in particular spoke out. Her sister Aubrey called the deal shocking and cruel, accusing the prosecutors of pushing the plea forward without fully considering the victims' voices. Their pain still raw, their questions still unanswered. The judge, equally caught off guard by the sudden plea, now prepared for the final steps in this chapter, the sentencing. On July 23rd, families will return to the courtroom to face Bryan Kohberger one final time and deliver their victim impact statements. The nation will be watching as justice, however imperfect, takes its final form. The murders of Kaylee, Maddie, Xana, and Ethan shattered the illusion of safety in a quiet college town and left 4 families and an entire nation grieving, searching for answers. With Bryan Kohberger's guilty plea, some say justice has been served. Others believe their story is far from over. In the end, no sentence can undo the heartbreak, but for the families and for the victims, the world will be watching on July 23rd. Thank you so much for watching this episode of Far From Fiction. If you enjoyed the episode and also enjoyed true crime, mysteries, and stories that remind us of something real life is scarier than fiction, then you're in the right place. I'm so close to hitting 1,000 subscribers and less than 200 to go, and I'm trying to hit that milestone by the end of August. Your support would mean the world to me, so if you haven't yet, please consider hitting that subscribe button and turn on notifications to help me get there. And speaking of stories that stay with you, my brand new anthology book, The Hollow Season, is releasing on August 1st. This is the first full-length video I've released having the actual book in my possession. It's 6 haunting tales, each more unsettling than the last. The stories will include graves, where sometimes the dead don't always stay buried, Hexenshire 2, a small town gripped in supernatural terror, Feast, where sometimes survival comes at a horrifying price, Home, because sometimes the place that's meant to keep you safe is the one that you fear the most, Obscura, where unseen forces twist reality itself, and Donum 2, a seemingly innocent gift with a deadly secret inside. The Hollow Season is packed with suspense, supernatural horror, and psychological twists, perfect for fans of chilling short stories that leave you double-checking your locks at night. And to celebrate the release of my new book, I'm giving away 3 signed copies of my book, The Hollow Season, for absolutely free. Here's how you enter. First, you gotta make sure that you're subscribed to the channel, like and comment on this video, as well as any full-length video between June 30th and July 25th. Every single video that you interact with gets you another entry into a chance to win one of 3 signed copies. I'll be announcing the 3 winners on July 26th, so definitely stay tuned for that. Thank you again for being a part of this community and for supporting the channel. Stay safe out there, and remember, sometimes the scariest stories are far from fiction. As always, thank you for spending a little bit of your evening here with me.